Hi, I'm Sam Flying Kite, and welcome to the Horror Show. This week, in the memory of Tim Curry, I'm reviewing Legend. This movie came out in 1985, and specifically I'm reviewing the director's cut, because there's a theatrical and director's cut. The director's cut is unrated and is about an hour and 53 minutes long. I think the movie itself is just a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb with about 80,000 people voting it. But I think that's just for the theatrical, because I don't think there's a director's cut version of Legend on IMDb. I think it's just the theatrical, because, right? But Ridley Scott directed it, and Jerry Goldsmith did the music. This is not the first time the two of them have worked on a project together. They worked on Alien together, right? So that was really cool. Although I didn't realize Jerry Goldsmith is like a huge person in the music industry, in the music film industry. I saw like a couple of weeks ago, I happened to see him because I either was revisiting The 13th Warrior or The Mummy, and then I wanted to see who did the soundtrack, and saw it was him, and looked through his filmography, and was like, whoa, this guy knows ball, right? He's goated. But yeah, incredible music, in which his soundtrack on Legend is flawless. Tom Cruise plays Jack, Mia Sara plays Lily, Tim Curry plays Lord Darkness, David Bennett plays Gump, Alice Playton plays Blix. There's a few others in there. The budget was about $25 million, and the box office was about $24 million. So it almost made what it was used to make, but and I guess before I talk about like what the movie's about, the music, I'll say that after. Legend, from director Ridley Scott, is a visually stunning fantasy adventure in which pure good and evil battle to the death amidst spectacular surroundings. Set in a timeless mythical forest inhabited by fairies, goblins, unicorns, and mortals, this fantastic story stars Tom Cruise, as a forest dweller chosen by fate to undertake a heroic quest. He must save the beautiful Princess Lily and defeat the demonic Lord of Darkness, or the world will be plunged into a never-ending ice age. Sounds like the setting of this world is stripped right out of Narnia, kind of. It's got a funny similarity. Yes, I love this movie. Although, to be fair, I'm very... Alright, I tried to watch the theatrical before, but after, like, the first third of the movie, I couldn't really keep going because I was just so used to the director's cut. I just hated what I was seeing. Plus, the beginning, I think the beginning is worse than the director's cut beginning. Because in the director's cut, the beginning, it's a monologue by Lord Darkness. And you don't see him, you only see Blix and the kind of like surrounding inside of this castle that it's Lord Darkness's castle. And in the theatrical, you see Lord Darkness, and it just looks terrible. I think it's like it's the same scene, but you see him this time, and it's no. But the music part that I wanted to talk about was that there was the American release, which is the theatrical, that, you know, whenever people are talking about the theatrical or the director's cut, the American release is the theatrical cut, but the European release is the director's cut. And Jerry Goldsmith does the soundtrack on the European release. Tangerine Dream does the soundtrack for the American release, which the people love it. To be fair, I haven't quite listened to it myself, but I just love Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack. So I should sit down sometime and try to listen to that, but until I do, director's cut soundtrack is better. So I think the best thing about this movie is a few things. One, the performances by the actors in it, I think, is just top notch. So Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, and Tim Curry. And, Tim Curry, screen time, well, in this version of the movie, screen time probably has 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes. It's not a whole lot of time, and given the movie's almost 2 hours long, but he still is just like crazy, amazing job at it. And it's it's one of those roles that make him who he became in his career. It does suck, but it's gonna happen to all of us someday. So yes, that's one thing. Although he did say in an interview about a year ago, Tim Curry, that it was an interesting quote in which, as a Christian, I think to a degree it's like, yeah, or at least like the second half of the quote, yeah. But the quote was something along the lines of, I'm not fearful of death, but I try to avoid it, like everyone does. But when death is at my doorstep, I'll probably welcome it, kind of thing. Something like that. And it's like a thing to, just because you're human self, it's, you don't want to die. No one wants to die, but it's just something that's going to happen to all of us someday. And him, I think for the most part, he played villains in movies. So he plays Darkness in this, he plays Pennywise in it, he plays, I think he plays one of the burglars in Home Alone 2. Although, to be fair, I haven't seen it. I've only seen the first one. He plays a pirate in a Muppet movie. I think he plays the villain in that movie. I forget. And he plays a judge, or like an America's Got Talent kind of show judge on a Psych episode, and he's like he's not like the killer in it, but everyone wants to kill him because he's such a dick. But it's just like he had such an amazing career, and it's not congrats, but it was a very good run, and he finished the race. So all you could hope is that he's gonna be there on the other side, and you can see him and talk to him. But you only will know that when it's all said and done. But what else? The music is great in this movie. I love the music, and I love the set designs and that kind of stuff, and just the whole, like, it's a timeless place, so it's really nice because you don't know when it takes place, but you see all these different things. Like, there's some there's swords, and there's heroism, and there's this, but then there's like fairies and magic, and there's good and evil. So it's a nice little touch. If there was anything I didn't like in this movie, I think it would just be nitpicks, honestly. Some dialogue choices, probably. But yeah, the only thing I could really think about being like a bruh kind of moment was in the beginning when, alright, so Jack and Lily, I guess they're like quote-unquote dating, or they're courting, or something like that, or they're maybe just friends. Although no, they kiss, so they're courting. At least they're courting anyway. And she's like, as they're kind of like in this little back and forth about marriage, and she takes off a ring that she has that's not like a wedding ring, and she's like, whoever finds this ring will be married to me, kind of thing, and then throws the ring into the into the pond underneath them because they're on top of a hill. And he immediately jumps into the water, and she's like, Jack! Like, he's you know he loves you. He wants to marry you. You shouldn't have done that. But I think there's like a lot of other things going on in that scene, so it's like, it's fine, right? I'm not like, bruh, whenever I'm seeing it, but I can imagine someone might be. I love the ending, and there's a thing I really like in movies where if it begins a certain way where it feels like it comes right out of a comic book. I just love that. And I feel like the opening in this movie comes right out of a comic book. How it's all set up and whatnot. Kind of like, I think the movie's terrible, but I think the opening to Rise of Skywalker is a really good opening because it feels like a comic book kind of opening. So it's like that's it. So that's the best thing about that movie. If I were to do the worst thing about that movie, it would be the other way around of this, where it's like one good thing and then like a million bad things, right? But yeah, I have two releases. This release and then a DVD release. Which, to be fair, like there's this cover of it, and then there's this cover of it, and then on that cover it's the one where Lord Darkness is like kind of kneeling over, and like he's like the main central, well, he's the background but central kind of figure, and in the palm of his hand is Lily and Jack's faces and like this white glowing light, and it's like, it's a really cool poster. I'll put it right here. But I think it's a really cool poster, and I should have got that DVD as the display for this, but it's fine. But yeah, I'm Sam, Flying Kite. I reviewed Legend in memory of Tim Curry. God rest his soul. And this was an amazing movie, or at the very least the director's cut, which, sure, it's an extra 20-30 minutes longer, but I feel like the extra stuff that they put in it's not like a boring movie, unless you're just not in the mood. If you're not in the mood, then like don't watch it. But if you're ever like, oh, that could be interesting, then yeah, you should like this movie, and you just give it a chance. You pretend you're a part of that world and you're inside that world, right? You'll love it. But yeah, I will see y'all next week. Goodbye.